You have a story you tell about yourself. I'm just a generous person. Nice story. Very flattering. Here's the footnote you leave out. 3 weeks ago, you drove 90 minutes to help a friend move apartments, and you are still, to this day, a little bit unwell about the fact that she didn't offer gas money. Not because you needed $4 of gas money, because somewhere in your head, a very small, very committed accountant just updated a spreadsheet, and he's been busy lately. It's never one big moment. It starts small, almost invisible. A friend goes through a breakup, and you're there every day for 3 weeks. Groceries, a couch, hours of phone calls at midnight, where you say his loss roughly 400 times. At the time, you genuinely don't think of it as a loan. You want that on the record, mostly for your own sake, because in about 6 minutes, it's going to sound a lot more like a loan. Somewhere around month 4, a little clerk clocks in at the back of your brain and quietly opens a ledger. Column 1, what you gave. Column 2, what came back. You did not hire this man. You did not run a job posting. He just shows up one day with a briefcase and a deeply judgmental attitude. And here's the problem. Once he's in, he doesn't just log the big stuff. He starts logging everything. A month later, that same friend posts online, thanking someone else for showing up for her in a way she'll never forget. You like the post. You mean it, mostly. But some small, deeply embarrassing part of your brain thinks, you drove 90 minutes with a truck full of boxes. Where's your post? Where's your little paragraph? And underneath that thought is a second one, quieter and uglier, that you'd never say out loud even under oath. You're a little jealous of the friend who got the shout out. Not because you wanted the attention. You'd never want the attention. You just wanted someone, anyone, to notice you the way they noticed her. That particular flavor of envy, resenting someone else's applause instead of just wishing you had your own, is exhausting to carry and even more exhausting to hide. Here's the part that stings. 2 weeks later, you need a small favor. 20 minutes, nothing dramatic. She says she's busy, and for one full day, you are not mildly disappointed. You are furious in the very specific way you're only furious when you feel like you're owed something. I have a receipt for this. Furious. You don't say the sentence out loud, but it's fully drafted, edited, and ready to publish in your head. After everything I've done for you, which is, incidentally, one of the least attractive sentences a human being can think about a friend. Right up there with, well, actually. And this is the moment you start wondering if this is a you problem, not a her problem. You're right, it is, but not in the way you think. Because this didn't start with her. It didn't even start with the friend from the move. It started when you were 12, in a kitchen you can still picture in detail if you try. Your cousin got the loud praise. Good grades, compliments at dinner, relatives saying, "Look how amazing she is," like she'd personally solved a border dispute. You did the dishes without being asked, kept your grades quiet and solid. Nobody clapped. You remember standing at the sink, hands in warm water, listening to your aunt list off your cousin's achievements from the next room, and thinking, very clearly, for a 12-year-old, I do things too. Why doesn't anyone say my name like that? Underneath that thought was a smaller, meaner one you didn't have words for yet. Maybe the things I do just aren't good enough to mention. That's shame, by the way, showing up early for its shift. Not I did something bad. The quieter, worse version. I am something not quite enough. It's been clocking in ever since, usually right before the clerk with the ledger, like they carpool. So you started small. You'd mention casually that you'd finished your homework early, or that you'd helped a neighbor carry groceries. Little updates, dropped into conversation, waiting for someone to pick them up and say something. Mostly, nobody did. And here's the part that actually built the ledger. One night, you overheard your mom on the phone saying, "She's just so easy. She never asks for anything." and you remember feeling two things at once: proud and completely invisible. Being easy got you kept. Being easy also meant nobody was keeping score for you. So you decided you'd do it yourself. That's the actual founding moment. Not a dramatic betrayal, just a kid deciding quietly at a kitchen sink that if nobody else was going to do the math, she would. For 16 years, genuinely impressive commitment to a hobby with zero pay, no benefits, and a very aggressive dress code. There's a name for this, and it's less dramatic than it sounds. Psychologists call it vulnerable narcissism, the quiet, socially acceptable cousin of the narcissism you're picturing right now. No red carpet, no mirror monologue, just someone who never asks for credit out loud and instead just waits. Researchers pair it with something called covert entitlement, which is a very academic way of saying keep score but would be mortified if you caught them doing it. And here's the twist the textbooks are very specific about, where the loud, grandiose version of narcissism justifies wanting things by feeling superior, your version justifies it by feeling wronged. You're not thinking, I deserve this because I'm amazing. You're thinking, I deserve this because it isn't fair that I never get it. Same entitlement, completely different lawyer. Fast forward, you're 29 now, and the ledger has had 16 years to get organized, which brings us to 3 months ago, and the actual worst version of this. Not a missed text, something bigger. Your closest friend was planning her wedding. You offered to help with everything: the invitations, running errands, being on call for every meltdown. You didn't ask her to keep track. You told yourself you weren't keeping track either. Then, 3 weeks before the wedding, she asked her sister, not you, to be her maid of honor. And something in you just snapped open. Not loudly. You smiled, you said congratulations, you meant maybe 60% of it. But the ledger, which had apparently been quietly running a very long tab in the background, presented its final invoice all at once. The invitations, the errands, the 11 p.m. phone calls, 4 years of remembering her coffee order, all of it, itemized, unpaid, and now permanently marked as a loss. For about 90 seconds, alone in your car afterward, you feel something that doesn't fit your usual personality at all. A hot, disproportionate anger that surprises even you. Not, I'm a little hurt. Something closer to fury aimed at someone who, objectively, did nothing wrong except choose her own sister. Psychologists have a blunt name for that spike: narcissistic rage, the disproportionate reaction that shows up when the ego takes a hit it wasn't braced for. It passes in under 2 minutes. It also tells you something true, whether you want to hear it or not. Here's what you did with that invoice. You pulled back. Not dramatically. You didn't fight. You didn't confront her. You just got quietly, efficiently, colder, slower to reply, busier than you used to be. Textbook silent treatment, just dressed up as a busy schedule. She noticed. She asked if something was wrong. You said no, you were just tired, which is technically true in the sense that maintaining a 16-year filing system is exhausting. And when she pushed a little harder, asking again if she'd done something, you told her, sincerely and with a straight face, that you didn't know why she'd think that. You were just going through a lot right now. Which is the victim mentality move, and you deployed it so smoothly you almost believed it yourself, making the person who hurt you feel like the one who needs to apologize for asking. This is what the ledger actually costs you, and it's worse than feeling underappreciated. You stop being able to just give someone something. Every kindness gets a due date nobody else agreed to. You resent people for debts they didn't know they owed, like a landlord nobody hired, collecting rent on friendships that were never supposed to be transactions in the first place. And the people you love the most end up with the highest balances because you gave them the most. which means, in the ledger's very stupid logic, they owe you the most too. Tonight your phone buzzes. It's her. Nothing dramatic. Hey, free this weekend? Wanna hang out? Your thumb hovers over the reply half a second too long. The clerk, out of pure muscle memory, reaches for the ledger, flips it open to her page, and starts running the numbers again. You almost let him. He's very persistent. You think it's the briefcase. You don't know yet if you're going to answer as the friend who loves her or the accountant who's still owed. For now, you just put the phone down without deciding, which is, apparently, growth. Slow, unglamorous, filing cabinet growth. The ledger's still open on the desk in your head, 16 years of entries deep. What's the one entry in yours you can't seem to close out?